He's a friend. He's a new colleague. I met this guy. He sent me some information when I was in Hawaii. And we started talking there, and we've been doing shows ever since. He's my boots on the ground partner now. We're going to get out there. We're going to do what we got to do. Ladies and gentlemen, from the homeless left, the most recent victim of YouTube censorship on the left, from the homeless left, Matt Weinglass is here today, brother.
Thank you so much, Pasa, for having me on today. And it's been quite a ride and such an honor to talk to you today of all days, just because everything that's happened in the last couple of days. But we aligned together in the lane we're in because there's not many people in that lane. And so I think we found each other quite easily because we're very loud. We're shouting at the top of our lungs. We are against 100% against censorship. We're 100% against the military-industrial complex. We're calling out all the BS on all the platforms. And as we're doing that, and we're calling out every illegal war, we're calling out the occupation of Palestine. We're doing everything right. We're doing everything with principle, with courage. We're trying to get rid of the teams, get rid of the team sports. This tribal thinking has got to go. And I think that's why we're able to have these conversations and do this. But the irony is, as we're having these honest conversations, we're the ones being targeted. We're the ones being silenced. And it's not just happening on the right. It's happening on the left. And we don't even like saying left and right anymore. We're all homeless. That's why we call ourselves the homeless left. But we welcome anybody who feels like their group let them down, their tribe let them down. We're all together. We're all the people. We're all punching up. And we have to fight this thing. This is a war.
Yeah. Well, when we do a show, I think we should call the show The Homeless Majority, right? Because it's really the homeless populace, whatever it is. I was trying to put down positives and negatives. The negatives, we understand what's going on, right? Censorship, bad, silencing voices, silencing doctors, silencing information. It's un-American. It's pro-fascism. It's whatever you want to say. We understand what the negatives are when people get censored all the time, right? But the positives, it happened early. Right. So maybe you can say, you know what, let's F the YouTube thing. That's what happened definitely with the morning show, AM Wake Up I was on. We ditched YouTube quickly. We said, we're not going to even try. We put up a video of Whitney Webb. They took it down, gave us a strike. We said, we're not going to even play this game. So we weren't dependent on it. And thank God that this happened to you where you weren't dependent on it. Because it's one thing if you had quit doing all your other things and you would concentrate all your efforts and your money into the homeless left YouTube because it was crackulating and then they pulled the plug on you. That is something that did happen to Fee and I when it came to the Convo Couch. It really startled us. We lost 77% of our income overnight like that, right? And we still haven't gotten it back. Everybody else that was on that list got their channel back, the monetization back. We haven't. I'm going to apply again to see if they will do that, but I'm afraid that if I do that, it's going to make sure that they deplatform or demonetize the Pasta to Go show, but that's what it is. The other positive about this situation with Matt Weinglass being censored. And let's put up the YouTube right there. It exposes YouTube and censorship that it's not just a team sports thing. It's not just about the populist right, which they said in the Twitter files, who are getting censored. No.
I'm going to go ahead to the
left guy, right?
This is the one. This was the last. This was the last.
Jump into it. It exposes the fact that it's not a left or right battle. It's an up or down battle. Matt Weinglass, tell us what happened. Take it away, my friend.
Okay, so this is a message that I did not get an email about. We did not see this on an email. They generally like to email us all the different warnings and strikes, and we try to maneuver through all that. And we'll get into that, and I'll tell you guys exactly. So you can look out for this too and understand how this machine works. It's a machine. It's got algorithms preset. It has red flags ready to go. Sometimes they reach out to you, sometimes they don't. This is the worst part is the last step. This step being you are terminated. The channel is now it says removed here. If you log into the Homeless Left on YouTube right now, it'll tell you this channel's been terminated. It won't even use lighter words like removed or make it sound vague. No, this is a terminated channel. When I logged in to look at the channel, this was just a few days. This was Tuesday night, right after midnight. The channel was gone. It's saying, as you guys can see, it says medical misinformation. When I do the review process, now we did submit a very thorough review earlier today. We had a lot of help. I got to give a shout out to Kit Cabello. He's dealt with censorship in his own way. Hardlens Media helped me out with the verbiage on this, but you get the one shot with the review. So we did that. We got the verbiage right. We got it in there, but there's nothing for us to look at. There is no video that is being red flagged. We were coming off of a 2-week ban previously from the previous strike. So the channel had only been active for 3.5 days before they did this. And in those 3.5 days, and you guys can see it says medical misinformation. That's all we have to go on. The previous strikes, I'm going to start from the beginning because important people understand this. We just put this channel together. We're very new. And like Pasta said, and I'm going to go back to the beginning. This was Christmas time. So this is like 6 months ago. So we were already on Rumble. We had we had followers. We had people that wanted to see our content. If it wasn't for Rumble, we probably wouldn't even have attempted YouTube. We probably wouldn't be doing this at all. So Rumble is a platform we can count on. We knew that no matter what happened going in, that we had that home base. And we've been telling that to, we've been thanking all of our viewers. Everyone that engages with us, we tell them Rumble is where we live. YouTube is where we try and expand and play that game. It's a game. It's a war against big tech. So we have to play that game. In December, we launched the channel on YouTube and just wanted to see what happened. And immediately I shared, we did a little share of a spoof video, holiday message. You guys might have even seen this. If you guys see that in the blue. So we immediately, second video up, they said, you get a warning for medical misinformation. There's no way to challenge it. You just have to accept it. They say,
what was the video? Explain to the crowd what the video was.
Okay. So the video is a spoof on Klaus Schwab. I'm going to show you a freeze frame of it on another channel because this is where we got it from. If you guys see, this is still up right now. This was posted. And again, this is at the end of last year. So this is Christmas time. And we did a little shout out to the channel, played the thing and said, we're glad to be here on YouTube with you guys. We're going to start building the channel. And here's a little fun message from our friends and I'm going to go back. Look what we
second video, right? By the way,
a very important message from all our friends. Like if they don't understand that's tongue in cheek, it's ridiculous. They don't understand that it's parody. It's parody. So anyways, that was not a good start. We got into January, February, March. We really started growing very quickly. So we were up to already, we hit 1,000 pretty quickly. And then we now had gotten up to about 2,300 followers on the channel. But since then, they tell us, look, if we give you another strike, then this. If we give you another strike, then that. So you get the warning, which was this. And again, this video is still up on another YouTube channel. No problem at all. Just a problem with us. Next strike. Here we go. Oh, look at this. Another medical misinformation policy strike. So with this one, we were resharing an interview where I interviewed presidential candidate Dr. Shiva. It double streamed on our Rumble channel and on Dr. Shiva's Rumble channel and on Dr. Shiva's YouTube channel. It did a 3-way stream when we did that interview. And what I did specifically was I had 2 interviews with him, Pasta. So I'm not being we're being very careful and calculated. The first interview I did with him is not on the channel. That one we talked about COVID. We talked about the medical industry, the problems with big pharma and all the capturing. We know this conversation. This interview, look at the name of it. Look at the name. Dr. Shiva returns to talk Hollywood union busting and the problem with ceasefire now, which, by the way, he said, end the occupation. I actually loved that a lot. That was a great conversation.
Which is probably why you got the strike, right? Because Dr. Shiva's been using the term Zionist C.
But look, it doesn't say
ceasefire.
It says medical misinformation. You see that?
Yeah, I know.
So they're giving, because what they're doing is they're trying to stack up the strikes. Because if you get a strike for a different reason, they can't do, because their policy is 1, 2, 3. It's warning 1, 2, 3. It has to be the same type of violation. So they're calling this a medical misinformation policy, right?
The combo couch so we did all our COVID stuff on Rockfin, so we stayed out of the YouTube spanking zone. We would tell people at the end of our show, we're going to do our COVID section. Come on over to Rumble. come on over to Rockfin, that kind of thing, right? I don't even think we were Rumble. We were just coming over to Rockfin. We were at Rockfin only. But every single time that they would have a problem with our video on YouTube, regardless of what it was, they would put up a warning about elections because we were doing election stuff. So we would be talking about Israel, Palestine, and they would put up the elections was called the safest election by the Department of Homeland Security. So I can understand why they continue to put those stamps on you, because you just pointed out they want to make sure they stack it up in the same type of topic so they can have justification for pulling you of sorts. Not that they really need justification, because nobody's really holding them account. Please go ahead.
Okay. So, and then just here's a little shot of it's still this interview. Here's me interviewing Dr. Shiva. It's still on his YouTube channel, and I have the screenshot of that. That's right now. So this is
still up.
It's still up on Dr. Shiva. The exact same interview. He calls it something different. I specifically called it the two topics that we actually discussed. It's actually very honest, very specific of me to say we talked about these two topics in this interview and nothing else. That's it. So that was officially the first strike. So we went another few months. We were really building the channel, and then we got this one. And you guys know, I didn't want to skip this. The first strike is a 1-week suspension. So we put up with that for a week. We went right back into business after that, and we kept growing. We were growing. I got an SEO guy. He was looking into it. He came up with the thing, and I want people to know this. There's a difference between getting a strike and being shadow banned. Those are two different things. They're not going to tell you you're shadow banned. They're going to tell you you've gotten a strike. Well, up until now. Now I know that they don't even have to tell you that. So now that's all up for grabs. So here's what happened next. I got another email. This is in May. This is the end of May. So this is fairly recent. They're saying this is, again, a medical misinformation violation. And this was my own. So this did not come from another channel. So this one, out of all of them, there's actually a specific thing. And this is the only time you could see they even gave a time code there. This is where the thing happened, the thing that you're not supposed to do. What happened at that thing? Well, this happened. I was doing my thing. If you guys follow our channel, you know that we do every week, we do a top censored news of the week. It's kind of like a sports thing. I do a little narration, and we kind of hit you with the 3 top stories. And so on the voiceover, I narrated a piece of this article from Slay. And here we go. We're absolutely talking about the medical industry, and we're talking about what is happening right now. This is a verified story from Frank Bergman, Slay magazine. We just basically read exactly what was on the page.
What's the date of the article?
We read the article, and if you look at the timestamp, and you go back to the video, that 1:05 mark is exactly when this starts. It's coming in at number 1, or it was number 2, I think, at the time. Coming in number 2, vax deaths recorded as unvaxxed to make COVID shots appear safe, official data shows. We all know, as YouTube creators and as independent journalists in the independent media world, we know that we are allowed to report on what other people are reporting on and read it as such and credit it as such, which we did. So because of this second strike, we were suspended 2 weeks. So we did that. And remember that we came and we talked about this on your show. We talked about this.
This is why you came on the show. I said,
show.
come on the show so we can get you on YouTube. Do it Last American Vagabond style.
That's correct. Now, this is where it gets really effed up, Craig. So I look at the calendar and I notice, hey, that first strike is about to expire, which means YouTube, their policy is that it goes away. So all the other ones move down. So this number 2 becomes number 1. I'm like, oh, when does that happen? That happens tomorrow, Friday. That's tomorrow. So this 2-week ban was up last Friday. So there was a 1-week window in which we weren't suspended, but we still had 2 active strikes. With a third one, they said you're terminated. So I said, well, listen, what can I do in that week? Should I do nothing? I could have done nothing, but we decided let's upload a few videos that have nothing to do with the medical industry at all. We just uploaded, it was election talk, a couple with you and me on there. You talked the Libertarian Party talk. That's all we did. So this came in, which we showed you guys earlier. This came in Tuesday early morning, and we had only had 6 videos that we had uploaded since that Friday. And they're saying medical misinformation, We cannot source the video in question. And I went to my notes and I found this. These are the actual titles of the 6 videos that were uploaded since Friday's suspension. So something about this, and it's probably like the Dr. Shiva video where they're just calling it the thing, but we don't talk about anything here. Most of this is talking about either Trump or election stuff, Libertarian Party. We do have some obviously we do have some pushback
Well, look
on.
at the 3 names there.
I understand.
Matt, you got Mindy Robinson, who had her Twitter pulled at one point because she spoke about what happened in Nevada. She's a brilliant person, great idea. Mindy was at the Clark County verification for elections with me where we were yelling. Her shit went viral. I got some play on it, right, when we were pushing back against what they were doing. You got me, you got Mindy, we're the election integrity. Now you got Ryan Christian, who was one of the most censored men on freaking on the interwebs. So I mean, right there, you're pushing it right there. See, the thing is that you're a young channel and they don't want you to get any momentum. And if they can crush your momentum, it's really hard to get it back. And a lot of channels that they've taken down, this is something that Luke Rudowski talked about once when he was on Tim Cast. He says a lot of channels that they take down, friends of his, when they were talking about Epstein stuff or, all the stuff back in the days, 9/11, they take you down and you can never come back. They ruin your livelihood. So I think there's something to it that you are a young channel, right? And you're starting to gain momentum. We've developed this kind of partnership. You're growing little by little over here that you're so close over the radar that you have to take some serious flack. And I'm sorry, let me move over here. And that's why they took you down right away. And I do want to point out that Slay article, I want to go a little bit more into that. But really quick first, I want you to look at this. And I want your opinions. It says, what category do you think YouTube prioritizes when it comes to their censorship, demonetize, and deplatform decisions? So far, I am on par, I would guess. I believe that the anti-Semitism, which is really anti-Zionism, and they're cloaking it in anti-Semitism. I was thinking about pro-Hamas or, but anti-Semitism, I think, is really what they're kind of calling it, not so much pro-Hamas. There are other people out there saying you're being pro-terrorist. Pro-Putinism, which is really anti-proxy war, anti-interventionism, getting out of NATO, all that there. But they call it pro-Putinism, right? 3, you're the one they got you on, pal. Wear it like a badge of honor. Medical misinformation. And the one I think that they really kind of hung on me and Fiorella for quite some time before they came in with the rest of the stuff. I mean, now she's pro-Putinism and, I'm medical misinformation. But the big lie, you couldn't talk about elections. And I think those are coming in the way I thought they would. 1, 2, and 3, I moved them around the way they are because I believe that those are the pecking order that the audience so far has got it right. But before we get into the information that you talked about, finish up on what you have to say on your thoughts just right now today with you being taken down. Are you really surprised about it, or did you kind of sense it coming?
We sensed it coming. I thought it would be a little more specific. I do feel a little deprived of that. And I've been doing some research and, like I said earlier, Kate Cabela's helped me out with some of the, maneuvering because they make it very difficult to maneuver. So I found out a lot in the last 48 hours here. And, they say in their own rules that they send you an email for termination. So I think just out of principle, it would have been nice to get that. So I feel a little uneasy that there was no email about what happened, unlike the other ones where there was. So that part, very upset about, but to answer your question, I guess I could say I saw this coming before going in the beginning. When we started up in Christmas time, it was an experiment. It was an experiment to see how far can we go with our message of principle, our message of integrity, our message of non-tribalness. And our tagline for the Homeless Left is a non-tribal approach to news. So we knew it was an experiment going in. I don't think I'll say this again, I don't think we would even be doing this if it wasn't for having Rumble as our home base. So I don't feel like everything's ruined. Oh my God, we're done for. But I'm thinking, here we are. And I will wear this as a badge of honor, and I will fight to the end on this. And I hope that this experience, that we could be loud about this, get it out there, regardless of how they respond to this appeal or not. I'm not holding my breath on it. I'm going to go all in on the appeal process. But I hope that if one thing comes out of this, more people will wake up and understand that this is not a right-wing situation. The Twitter files, everybody's saying, oh, it's the right wings. No, we have people right here on the homeless left that are being targeted. They're saying we can't be against war. We can't be against big pharma. Shut the hell up and get off social media. And we would have done that again if it wasn't for Rumble. So that's where we are. But that's how I feel about it.
Remember, there was 4 of us who spoke at Defeat the Minutes that also spoke at Rage Against the War Machine, right? One of them got really heavily censored. And one of the reasons why we got heavily censored, going along with the Garland-Nixon soliloquy or little phrase, well, you know you're taking heat when you're over the target. This area in which you got the platform for, right, we're taken down, is a very serious area. And in fact, I thought it was the number one truth, one of the false, that where the truthers would say, excuse me, it was the number one sin, the number one lie, the number one miscue when it came to COVID-19. Jamie, if we can bring up Ron DeSantis, and Ron DeSantis said it out loud. That's why he changed his Surgeon General. And when he changed the Surgeon General, thing changed. But listen to what he says in this video right over here. This is the big misconception. This is one of the, I think we should call this the big misconception. To lump in the partially vaccinated with the unvaccinated and call them unvaccinated. That's what was in that Slay article,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
You control the narrative. That's why you had people like Don Lemon. That's why you had people like Rachel Maddow saying, this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. No, it wasn't. They lumped in the partially vaxxed with the unvaxxed. By the way, CDC says it's the safest vaccine of all times in the history of vaccines. Ron DeSantis, everybody.
So here's, I think, the most important thing with the data. If you are vaccinated, fully vaccinated, the chance of you getting seriously ill or dying from COVID is effectively zero. If you look at the people that are being admitted to hospitals, over 95% of them are either not fully vaccinated or not vaccinated at all. And so these vaccines are saving lives. They are reducing mortality. Mortality in nursing homes since we rolled out the vaccines in December is down over 95% due to COVID. Mortality for elderly people since we rolled out the vaccines is down nearly 90%. And so we're proud in Florida that we put seniors first on that because they were the most vulnerable. We have 85% of our seniors that are vaccinated and about 75% of folks over the age of 50. We have no mandate. We've provided information to people and we've been very honest about any data that comes out. And I can tell you that if you look,
you could stop it because I wanted to stop it. We've been honest about any data that's coming out. No, you just manipulated the data. You just said fully vaccinated, right? And then you changed it like, oh, those who are partially vaccinated are also in trouble. That is bad because in England, they separated that. I want to show you a clip really quick, Matt, and this is from 2.5 years ago, right? And I've said this multiple times, and it's hard for me to search it because I never wanted to put VAERS in the title, because if I put VAERS in the title on YouTube, I was getting spanked. So we were trying to find ways to get people involved without listing the title because they would take down videos or censor them with the titles that brought up red flags, a.k.a. partially vaccinated, a.k.a. What do you call it? VAERS. If you put VAERS in the title, forget about it. We were noticing that. Look at this video. That's not the video. I put the wrong video up. That's not the video. It's not me and Tim Canova. It's me and... Is that the video I put up? Let me see. That's not it. I got the wrong video. Okay. I'll have to show it another time. But I had a video, it's 2.5 years ago, and I was explaining this very thing when it comes to the whole situation. The way they're duping, and this, let's bring up the Slay magazine. Let's put it that way, though, again, because I got the wrong Rockfin video. My bad, everybody. And I can go find this Clip Genie Pasta. Help me out. Vax deaths recorded as unvaccinated to make COVID shots appear safe, and official data shows. They were taking the partially vaccinated and lumping them in with the unvaccinated. Yeah. This is why you got spanked, because this was one of the big areas in which they were able to dupe the public. Your thoughts, Matt Weinglass?
I mean, this was they got 2 for 1 on this deal, Craig. They got 2 for 1 by coming up with this plan. They were able to mitigate the problems with the vax. So if anyone had an immediate reaction, It didn't look like that on paper. It looked like somebody unvaxxed was just having a problem, and they could always attribute it to COVID. We already knew that there were as many people that they could give a one of those crappy PCR tests to, anyone they could dock as a check the box as a COVID, that they're COVID positive. They would check that box. So if somebody that got the shot had a bad reaction to it in that first 2 weeks, it's a 2-for-1. They could be listed as unvaxxed, and then they get to yell at the top of their lungs, look what happens when you don't get the shot. You end up like this dude on the ground that just suddenly collapsed for no reason. Maybe because he should have gotten that vax sooner. So that's how bad this actually was. And it seemed to work because so many institutions went along with this. So many media went along with this. This was global. This wasn't just in one condensed area. This was the plan. This was like, okay, everyone got the orders. All right, break. Let's go dupe the public. Got this.
Yep. And like I said, I have endless videos of me talking about this situation. This was something they really needed to have this lie going so they can put out those. This is why you heard so many people say it's a pandemic of the unvaccinated. Matt, what are your plans moving forward? Just thought process wise about what you can do as far as and what help you need from people right now moving forward. I know it's kind of early in the situation. It's early that you've been demonetized, but what could you do in your thoughts about moving forward with now being deplatformed? I mean, obviously you're going to protest YouTube, but if YouTube doesn't let you come back on, what are your immediate thoughts about what you can do moving forward?
Well, we've already been talking about expanding on some of these other platforms that I know that the other people in our lane, they're on there. I know we've heard it. We've talked about Rockfin. We talk about Odyssey. So I'm looking at other ways to expand. But as far as YouTube goes, again, like you said, if they're not gonna, if we're done with this thing, we do have a shot at starting over again. It really wasn't. I mean, to be totally honest, I mean, look at the timeline. We just started this at Christmas. This isn't years of work here. So we might give it another stab. Have to start another channel. Move some punctuation around so it can have a fresh look to it, and just start from scratch. Or we say F it. We don't need YouTube. We do a lot of these right-wing populists have done. They just said we're just not even going to try YouTube anymore. We're done with YouTube. So we might do that. So we'll have to feel it out. But one thing I know for sure, as we're fighting this battle, we are getting a lot of people's attention already, even in this first 48 hours. And I'm really liking that. I'm liking that people are paying attention and they're seeing for the first time that, oh my God, there might actually be a problem here against all the people, not just a particular, ideologically aligned type of people, but anybody who's challenging big pharma, anyone who's challenging the military industrial complex. That's what they have in place. And we have to be against censorship. This is number one. This is what we did our first episode on Rumble about. We said we were challenging the censorship industrial complex. That's what we called it. That was episode 1. Taking on the censorship industrial complex. It's a major problem because the average American, the average citizen, does not understand how it works. You always have to qualify it to them. You have to say, "Hey, do you believe in censorship?" They're at a place where the average person is going to say, "Oh no, I'm not for censorship," but they always have to qualify. But if somebody's doing, saying hurtful things or violent things, why do you have to qualify it? We have a judicial system in place to deal with any violence or any threat of violence. It's crazy that people have to qualify that. Just say it. Just say it. I'm against censorship for everyone. Just say it. Why do we have to qualify it?
They have a hard time. When you talk about the homeless left, we're talking about teams, right? I put in this tweet over here. This is something I just found out about this morning. The homeless left was removed from YouTube. And I put, here they go. They're at it again. YouTube, fascism at its finest. It also shows that it just ain't about the populist right getting censored. It's anyone who stands up against the narratives of the ruling class. In the censorship game, Matt, left or right doesn't mean a thing. It's an up and down battle. We need to demand transparency and strip big tech of its immunity. What YouTube doing here should be illegal. Final thoughts on this topic. We're going to get out of here and do one more section. If you got time, we want to talk about U.S. troops on the ground in Israel. But if you can't, let everybody know what they can do to help. Let everybody know your final thoughts and where your mind is with this new deplatforming of your channel that you've worked so hard on. I know it's only been since Christmas, but I know all the effort you put into it. I know what you bring to the table. The reason why I was excited about working with you is because what you bring, this kind of je ne sais quoi. You come from the entertainment industry like I do, and you bring this entertainment value there that's catchy, that's entertaining, that it could be like, you know, what I think what YouTube wasn't able to accomplish that TikTok was, you were kind of merging that entertainment factor together. And I think they didn't want to see this get started, or you work with people like myself, right? Because they don't want us elevated whatsoever. There are people on the left, and I'm not holding it against them, Matt, that won't talk about COVID, who are not in the areas that we're at. They'll never have to worry about this. They have never been silenced or shut down and been able to make $1 or $2 on YouTube. And it's the biggest platform. It's the second biggest platform on the planet other than Google, right, when it comes to search information. So it's really harsh when they do this. This is the public square. That's why, yeah, I don't want to deal with YouTube, but YouTube isn't a private company. It's the public square. And they shouldn't be able to do what they're doing. Final thoughts before we get to the last subject of the day, buddy.
Okay, first of all, again, we are not going anywhere. We're on Rumble. You guys, if you haven't followed us yet, you haven't seen us yet, it's at The Homeless Left on Rumble. We do our weekly show every Thursday. We're live. We took this one off today to have these conversations. We're going to throw up a top censored news. We're going to do that every week. Top censored news of the week. The news that the media refuses to report on, we're going to do it, and because they won't. And that's the only reason we're doing this. And so with that, what we need you guys to do is also follow us on Twitter at The Homeless Left, and me, Matt Weinglass, at Matt Weinglass on Twitter. That's where we're going to do a lot of our campaign again, to YouTube. And so I'm going to throw this up too. If you guys want to, share or, comment, repost, you tag this stuff. Sorry, I just put this one up too, because this was important. Team YouTube. This is the people that need to look at what we're doing. Take a look at it, and we need to have engagement with them from a personnel, even if it's just an online communication. We need somebody on there to reach out, and that we can get that if we do it enough here. So, sorry, Jamie, we want to put that other one back up. But those were the ones I think. Yeah. So follow us, The Homeless Left, at Matt Weinglass. We're on Rumble every week. And my last thought would be this: let's use this as an opportunity to align ourselves more with a message for people that still don't get it, or they might be right there, right ready to think, there might be something wrong with our media. There might be something wrong with the functionality of our government. There might be something wrong with the corporate capture of our country and the ongoing war machine and the dishonesty, constant dishonesty coming at us every day, and the division and the hate and the fear. People that are on the fence right now, let's use this to align ourselves with a stronger message. We tell them the people getting canceled are the people who are telling the truth and are challenging all those things. People who are lying, who are making shit up, they don't waste their time getting canceled, because nobody's going to listen to them. The people that listen to us are people that know we're onto something. We're on the right side of history. Use this as your argument against people. This is what we're doing with, and I'll say this about, just because Israel-Palestine is so important, this is one of the talking points. Double down on this point, guys. If you're arguing with friends and family about Palestine, you say, nobody gets canceled for doing pro-Israel. Nobody. It's only the other way. And there's a reason. There's a reason that we get shadow banned for being pro-Palestine, pro-peace, anti-war machine. There's a reason. Be on the right side of that. We're on the right side of history. We're going to keep going. We're stronger than ever. I appreciate the time with you, Pasta, as ever and as usual. And I look forward to our next doings together, and we're just going to get stronger from here. I'm really excited, actually.
Yeah, listen, I saw Jimmy Diaz. I put Jimmy Diaz on Joey Diaz, excuse me, I call him Jimmy Diaz. I have a friend, Jimmy Diaz, growing up, but Joey Diaz, the famous comedian who has a show, there's certain things he says that at first, and then they come back, and I'm like, Joey Diaz was right. But Joey Diaz said something today, and I'm going to just close out this section with saying what Joey Diaz says, is that no matter what happens with the censoring, and he didn't say anything about the censoring, I'm bringing monetization, but what Joey Diaz said about what he was doing, he says, just continue to do the work. The work will tell you itself to keep going. Not the numbers, not your friends, not this guy, the work itself will tell you to continue to keep going. And that's what tells me, right? To continue to keep going right now. The work, doing the work itself It's always a pleasure to do the work next to you, Matt. I think at the end of the day, what big tech needs to do when it comes to Google, when it comes to YouTube, is the same thing I advocate when it comes to elections. They need to readopt transparency. If you're going to get protection from the government, you have to show your homework, open source. You can't pick winners and losers if you're going to be a platform. Otherwise, you have to be subject to be sued. What they're doing right now should be illegal. Thank you, Matt Weinglass.